Welcome, beautiful Sigma ladies. God doesn't always send thunder. Sometimes he just deletes people from your life quietly. That's not just a poetic line. It's a spiritual principle that Sigma females live without even knowing it. And no, it's not because they're doing sage cleanses every full moon or hiding crystals under their mattress. There's something different about them, something coded into their presence that evil people instinctively fear. And here's the strange part. Psychologists have confirmed that highly self-aware individuals trigger anxiety in manipulators, even if they've never spoken a word. So why is it that the Sigma female seems to glide through chaos untouched? Why do snakes get nervous around her, even when she's just sipping tea and minding her business? Simple. Because she's not just protected by instincts, boundaries, or self-help books. She's protected by something higher. Today, we're breaking down 20 deeply unnerving, absolutely extraordinary signs that a Sigma female is divinely protected from evil people. Not cliché signs, not self-love posters, but raw, eerie, surgical truths that will leave you wondering, wait, is this why people keep disappearing from my life like deleted browser history? Let's get into it. Number 1. She's guided by warnings. Others dismiss as paranoia. She's guided by warnings others dismiss as paranoia. The Sigma female doesn't need a detailed explanation or a logical reason to walk away from someone or something. Sometimes it's a strange feeling in her chest. Sometimes it's a dream that feels too vivid to ignore. Other times it's a voice in her head that simply says, "Leave now." People around her might roll their eyes or accuse her of being dramatic, but here's the thing. They always understand after the fact. She could meet someone who seems perfect on paper, but something inside her just won't relax. No red flags, no scandals, no obvious signs. Still, she distances herself, and later, it all comes out, who they really are, what they were hiding, or the damage they could have done. By then, she's already gone. She's already safe. It's not because she's paranoid, it's because she's plugged into something higher, something most people ignore. Her intuition doesn't whisper, it alarms, and she listens, even when it's inconvenient or makes no sense to anyone else. While others walk straight into disaster, trusting charm or credentials, she's already taken the exit. That's the kind of protection that can't be taught. It's divine filtration. She doesn't wait for proof. She doesn't need validation. When her spirit senses something's off, she trusts it without debate. Because every time she's ignored it in the past, it's cost her. And every time she's followed it, it's saved her. People call it instinct, but it's deeper than that. It's like she's getting intel from a source they don't have access to. That's why she moves differently. That's why she avoids situations others blindly walk into. Not because she's smarter, but because she's spiritually wired to receive advance warnings. She doesn't argue. She doesn't explain. She just moves. And by the time people realize she was right, she's already on safer ground, watching the storm from a distance. Number 2, she forgives in silence, then God handles the rest. She forgives in silence, then God handles the rest. The Sigma female doesn't scream for justice. She doesn't try to expose the people who wronged her or get others to take her side. She forgives quietly, without ceremony. But that silence isn't weakness. It's her secret weapon. Because while she lets go on the surface, something much bigger starts moving behind the scenes. She knows something most people don't. Some battles are beneath her. Not because they're not painful, but because they're distractions. When someone lies, manipulates, uses her, or stabs her in the back, she doesn't run to burn the bridge or write a 10-paragraph takedown. She pauses, she observes, then she lets go like it never happened. But here's the catch. She never forgets. She just chooses peace over performance. And that's when strange things start to happen. The people who wrong her start unraveling. Maybe slowly, maybe all at once. Relationships fall apart. Reputations take hits. Their fake masks start slipping. And the Sigma female, she's already gone. Not in hiding, just not stuck in the storm. Because the minute she let go, it wasn't her job anymore. She handed it to a force far more precise than karma. Call it God. Call it justice. Call it spiritual physics. Whatever it is, it does not miss. People often wonder why things just don't work out for those who mess with her. They call it luck or timing or coincidence, but it's not. It's the ripple effect of someone who moves with quiet integrity, who doesn't scheme, who doesn't plot revenge. She forgives not because they deserve it, but because she refuses to carry what isn't hers. And when she releases it, the universe picks it up and says, I got it from here. She never looks back. She never gloats. She never has to, because she knows. What she doesn't say will echo louder than any argument ever could. Number 3, people who try to harm her often self-destruct. People who try to harm her often self-destruct. She doesn't scream. She doesn't fight dirty. She doesn't even try to prove anything. When someone crosses her, betrays her, disrespects her, she just walks away. Not out of weakness, but out of knowing. Because deep down, the Sigma female understands something most people don't. What you do to her, you eventually do to yourself. Those who plot against her think they've won. They might even celebrate. But give it time. Things start falling apart. Friendships crack, opportunities vanish, lies get exposed. It's almost eerie how it happens. And here's the twist. She's not even watching. She's not lurking or waiting for karma. She's already moved on, probably in silence, probably in peace. What people don't realize is that trying to hurt someone who's spiritually protected doesn't just fail, it backfires hard. It's like throwing a punch into a mirror and wondering why your own hand is bleeding. The Sigma female doesn't curse people. She doesn't wish bad on them. She just removes her energy. And that alone is enough. Because when she walks away, she takes her light with her. The loyalty, the support, the silent covering she gave without anyone asking. People don't realize how much she protected them while she was in their life, until it's gone. Suddenly things stop flowing. Their confidence cracks. Their little schemes start to collapse under their own weight, and she didn't lift a single finger. This isn't superstition. This is what happens when someone is divinely covered. The universe keeps the score. Not always loudly, not always immediately, but relentlessly. She doesn't have to make a scene. She doesn't have to explain her side. Her absence speaks for itself. And the fallout that follows isn't punishment. It's revelation. What they thought they were getting away with was actually the start of their unraveling. Not because she retaliated, but because she didn't. And that's what makes her protection so terrifyingly effective. Number 4, she's invisible to predators until it's too late for them. She's invisible to predators until it's too late for them. To the average manipulator, the Sigma female looks like an easy target. She's quiet, detached, observant. Not loud, not confrontational, not someone who plays power games. So they assume she's naive, passive, maybe even weak. But that assumption is the first step toward their downfall. She doesn't advertise her strength. She doesn't need to. Her silence isn't emptiness, it's camouflage. While they're trying to figure her out, she's already figured them out. She reads intentions like body language. She notices inconsistencies that most people ignore, and she never tips her hand, ever. By the time someone with bad intentions thinks they have her right where they want her, they're already exposed. She's seen through the act. She's collected the signs. And without a dramatic confrontation, she starts closing her energy off like a steel door. They try to pull her back in, thinking she's just playing hard to get, but no, she's gone. Not physically, but spiritually, emotionally, intellectually. There's no way back in. This is what makes her terrifying to evil people. She's untrackable until it's too late. They realize too late that she's not someone you manipulate. They realize too late that she was never impressed by the performance. And they realize too late that what they thought was control was just her letting them play themselves. She doesn't fight them. She lets them hang themselves with the rope they brought. No warnings, no threats, just silence, space, and the slow, painful realization that they messed with the wrong one. And here's the worst part for them. There's no closure, no drama to feed on, no spectacle, just the quiet collapse of their own game. She's not hiding. She's protected. And predators only realize that after they've already stepped into the fire, thinking it was a shadow. Number 5, she attracts the hatred of narcissists without doing anything. She attracts the hatred of narcissists without doing anything. She doesn't provoke them. She doesn't challenge them directly. In fact, when the Sigma female walks into a room, she might not even look their way. But narcissists feel her presence like a threat. Something about her unsettles them deeply, and it's not her words. It's what she doesn't give them: power. Narcissists thrive on control, admiration, and emotional access. But the Sigma female is immune to all three. She doesn't need their approval, she doesn't fall for their charm, and she doesn't play the game. And that's exactly what drives them crazy. They can't stand that they don't have a hook in her. They can't manipulate her because there's no handle to grab onto. She's grounded in herself. She's not impressed by status, tactics, or fake intimacy. That makes her not just resistant, but dangerous to them. At first they might try to win her over, be overly nice, overly interested. They study her, trying to find an opening, but it never comes. Her boundaries aren't loud, but they're firm. She doesn't entertain flattery. She sees through theatrics, and that quiet self-possession, it burns them. So they flip. Obsession turns into resentment. Interest turns into silent attacks. Passive aggression, smear campaigns, subtle sabotage, anything to destabilize her. But nothing sticks. Her peace makes their chaos louder. Her indifference highlights their desperation, and her refusal to react strips them of their control. She doesn't fight them, she just doesn't feed them. That's what kills them slowly. Because nothing is more enraging to a narcissist than someone they can't affect. And the Sigma female, she just keeps moving, unbothered, disengaged, protected. Not because she's trying to win some moral high ground, but because narcissists were never even worth the war. They just don't know that yet. And when they do, it's too late. Number 6. She exposes darkness just by existing. She exposes darkness just by existing. She doesn't dig, doesn't pry, doesn't interrogate. She doesn't have to. Her presence alone is like a silent spotlight, subtle but intense. When she walks into a room, the energy shifts. People who have something to hide start to squirm. Not because she's accusing them of anything, but because something in her energy makes their masks feel heavy and uncomfortable. The Sigma female isn't loud or invasive, but she's deeply real, and realness is magnetic to truth and corrosive to lies. The fake personalities, the exaggerated charm, the performative goodness, it all starts to break down in front of her. Without even trying, she becomes the mirror people didn't ask for but can't avoid. And for those living in deception, that reflection is unbearable. Even people who are skilled manipulators start slipping around her. Their carefully crafted personas start to fray. They contradict themselves. Their rehearsed stories fall apart. They expose themselves trying to impress her, trying to pull her in, or, worse, trying to discredit her when they realize she's not buying what they're selling. And the more they try, the more obvious it becomes. It's not that she catches people, it's that their darkness can't survive the contrast when she's near. Her spiritual frequency is too clean, too still, too piercing. There's no room for distortion, so it surfaces. Whether it's jealousy, manipulation, bitterness, or hidden agendas, those things bubble up when she's present, because her energy demands authenticity. And not everyone can handle that. What's wild is that she doesn't always notice she's doing it. She's not trying to expose anyone, she's just being herself. But that self, it's a quiet force. One that makes pretense impossible and darkness uncomfortable. And it's exactly why fake people either fall away or implode trying to stay in her light. Number 7. She is constantly interrupted before entering the wrong room. She is constantly interrupted before entering the wrong room. She thinks it's just bad timing. She wonders why certain friendships never deepen, why that job interview suddenly vanished, why someone she thought had potential ghosted her out of nowhere. At first, it's frustrating. It feels like rejection, like delay, like the universe playing games. But later, sometimes weeks, sometimes years, it always becomes clear it was protection. The Sigma female has a path that doesn't allow unnecessary detours. So when she's about to walk into something that looks right but is secretly laced with poison, life blocks it. That opportunity that vanished? Turns out it was a toxic trap. That person who ghosted her, they were about to betray her. That social circle she never quite fit into. It was a mask-filled playground with knives behind every back. She was never meant to stay. She was never meant to enter. Her life is full of what look like interruptions, but they're actually divine interceptions. She doesn't need to find out the hard way, because her spirit is hardwired for redirection. If something doesn't align with her truth, her peace, or her purpose, it slips away. Not always gently, sometimes it crashes and burns, but always with precision. And yes, it can be lonely, confusing, even painful, because the Sigma female rarely gets closure. She just gets exits. But over time, she starts to see the pattern. The closed doors weren't blockages, they were shields. The silence wasn't abandonment, it was guidance. And the delays weren't punishment, they were upgrades in disguise. She learns not to beg to stay where she's being pushed out. She doesn't try to force her way into rooms that spiritually lock themselves. Because she knows anything removed without her permission was never meant to carry her light, and what's meant for her, it never gets interrupted. It opens like a door that was waiting just for her. Number 8. The right allies are drawn to her like pilgrims to a temple. The right allies are drawn to her like pilgrims to a temple. She's not out there networking, posting highlight reels, or trying to be seen. She doesn't crave attention, and she doesn't manufacture connection. In fact, most of the time she's minding her business so hard that people assume she's unreachable. But then it happens. They find her, not just anyone, but the ones who feel like they were sent. Souls with substance, people with depth, allies who don't just resonate, they recognize her. It's almost unsettling how it works. These connections often show up in unexpected moments, in places that feel random but aren't. There's no small talk, no awkward energy, just an immediate sense of I know you, and it's mutual. The Sigma female doesn't question it. She doesn't overthink it. She just knows when a soul is aligned. It feels like remembering someone you've never met. These people aren't drawn to her because she's flashy. They're drawn to her frequency, to the calm in her chaos, to the truth in her eyes, to the strange sense of peace she carries like armor. The right ones aren't intimidated by her independence. They're inspired by it. They don't want to dim her. They want to walk beside her. They don't try to label her, fix her, or compete with her. They honor her solitude and still show up with presence. This isn't about popularity. It's about soul contracts. These are the kind of people who appear with purpose, sometimes to stay, sometimes just to light a path, but always at the exact moment they're needed. It doesn't matter how far apart they are in space or time. Alignment overrides logistics. She never has to chase, because when you're carrying a frequency that rare, it does the calling for you. The right people hear it, feel it, and find you, like pilgrims to a temple that was always meant to be discovered. Number 9. She suffers without bitterness, and that disarms evil. She suffers without bitterness, and that disarms evil. The Sigma female has endured pain, no doubt, deep wounds, betrayals, losses that would break many. But here's the thing about her. While she might feel the weight of it, she doesn't wear it like armor. She doesn't turn it into a weapon of bitterness. It doesn't poison her heart or twist her view of the world. Instead, she transmutes it, turns it into fuel, wisdom, and sometimes even compassion for others who are suffering. Evil people rely on the pain of others. It's their currency. They use grief, regret, and anger to manipulate, control, or break others down. They push people into submission by triggering their insecurities or feeding off their vulnerability. But when they try to touch the Sigma female's wounds, they find nothing to latch onto. Her pain doesn't make her weak, it makes her unbreakable. She doesn't deny her pain, she acknowledges it, she heals it, and then she lets it go. She doesn't dwell, she doesn't plot revenge, she doesn't drown in why me, or carry the bitterness that so often festers into hatred. Instead, she rises from it every time. And that power, the ability to suffer and still rise without letting it harden her soul, is what makes her untouchable. Evil people can't use her pain because they don't understand how it works. They think if they wound her enough, if they chip away at her enough, they'll gain control. But they fail to see that she's not holding on to anything they can take. She's learned to turn the poison into something beautiful, self-awareness, peace, strength, and it leaves them powerless against her. That's why they can't break her. They can't understand her. They can't even manipulate her because she's already healed. And it's that healing, that ability to move through suffering without becoming cynical, that makes her spiritually untouchable. Number 10. Evil people forget her fast, and that's a blessing. Evil people forget her fast, and that's a blessing. She doesn't leave a mark they can latch onto, no dramatic footprint they can obsess over. When she enters their lives, she doesn't make waves with grand gestures or seek closure. She doesn't demand attention or play the victim. Instead, she walks in with a quiet power that disarms them without them even realizing it. She's not the type to haunt their thoughts or leave them with unfinished business. She just fades out of their mind like smoke in the wind. At first, it's confusing for them. They might try to chase her, dissect their interactions with her, figure out what went wrong. But no matter how hard they try, they can't find a hook. They can't find anything to grab onto because she's not interested in feeding their need for control. They'll replay conversations in their heads and come up empty. They'll try to justify their treatment of her, but there's no emotional currency they can use. They feel something, but they don't know what it is. It's like she was there and then poof, gone. No closure, no lasting scars. And here's the beauty of it. They forget her fast. The ones who would have obsessed over her, tried to manipulate her, or drawn out a dramatic narrative. They move on. They quickly find a new target. She's not memorable in the way they'd hoped. She doesn't fuel their ego. She doesn't let them consume her energy. They forget her not because she's insignificant, but because she doesn't give them anything to attach themselves to. In the end, it's a blessing, because their attention was never a gift. It was a trap. And when they forget her, they're left with nothing but confusion and emptiness. Meanwhile, she keeps moving forward, untouched by their chaos, untethered to their obsession. She's a quiet storm, and the damage she leaves behind is the lack of it, the absence of anything they can control or use against her. Number 11. Her spirit interrupts evil conversations. Her spirit interrupts evil conversations. The moment she steps into a room, it's like the air changes. The flow of conversation halts, like an invisible hand has just pressed pause. People who were scheming, lying, or manipulating instinctively change their tone. Words get stuck in their throats, smiles falter. Their energy shifts, as if they've suddenly realized they're no longer in control. They don't need to be confronted. They don't need to be called out. Her presence alone breaks the spell. It's almost supernatural. She doesn't say a word. She doesn't give them a cold stare or a pointed remark. She just is. And in the stillness of her being, all their pretensions start unraveling. The manipulations they were crafting fade away, leaving them exposed, confused by the sudden vulnerability they feel in her presence. It's not that they fear her. It's that they can't fake it in front of her. The illusions they've been weaving lose their grip, and the truth starts to show up, uninvited. This doesn't happen with everyone. It's not about showing force or making a scene. It's about the purity of her energy. Her spiritual frequency is so clear, so untouchable, that it makes the dishonesty in the room impossible to sustain. People might not even be aware of the shift, but they feel it. The manipulative ones become disoriented. The fake ones can't keep their story straight. The illusionists start slipping because they can't control the vibe anymore, and all she does is exist. She doesn't even try. She just walks in, and their games start falling apart. It's like her spirit is a quiet interruption, not of words, but of truth. A truth that those with bad intentions can't escape, no matter how hard they try to keep up the act. Her mere presence pulls the rug from under their lies, leaving them exposed in a way they can't recover from. In the end, the Sigma female is not just a force of nature. She's a living paradox, unseen yet impossible to ignore, silent yet louder than the chaos around her. Her very existence disrupts the plans of those who would seek to harm, control, or deceive. She doesn't fight, she doesn't argue, she doesn't chase, she simply is. And in that being, she carries an energy so pure, so undeniable, that it rewrites the rules. She's not a victim of circumstance, nor a player in the world's games. She moves through life like a quiet, determined river, carving paths through stone. The people who try to use her, manipulate her, or take from her will always find themselves undone by their own actions. Her strength is not in her resistance. It's in her indifference to the things that would bring her down. Every time life throws a challenge, she takes it in stride, transmuting the pain into wisdom, and always moving forward. And while the world may not understand her, it doesn't need to, because the ones who are meant to walk beside her will always find their way to her, and the ones who were never meant to share her journey will simply fade away. Her light doesn't require recognition. It doesn't need validation. It just shines. And in doing so, it illuminates everything around her, from the darkest corners of human intent to the brightest connections of soul. Her path is one of divine protection, silent power, and quiet retribution. She's not here to prove anything. She's here to be. And in that being, she becomes untouchable, leaving the world around her in awe, never quite able to fully comprehend the depth of her spirit, yet always sensing its brilliance. And that in itself is her ultimate strength. If this resonated with you and you found yourself captivated by the power of the Sigma female, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Join this incredible community, because you don't want to miss out on more content that will elevate your understanding of unique and extraordinary personalities. Like, if you feel the energy, and drop a comment to share your thoughts. Let's start a conversation about the traits that make us all stand out. And hey, if you know someone who needs to hear this, don't hesitate to share it with them. Let's spread this message far and wide. Stay tuned for more, because we're just getting started. Your journey to discovering powerful, authentic personalities is about to get a whole lot more exciting.